Iowa State chasing a 6-0 start for the first time since 1938. Cincinnati on a 3-game win streak since losing opener to Nebraska. Can either of these teams get a win out on top? Saturday kickoff, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2. I'm Nathan Johnston alongside my co-host, Brad Hopkins. It's time to break the huddle. Brad, the biggest storyline in this one for me is, can Cincinnati spoil the Cyclones' perfect start? And I'll ask you right out of the gate, with Iowa State ranked inside the top 15 but still an underdog on the road, do you buy into the idea that this could be the biggest trap game of the season?
Iowa State has been just red hot, but Nate, we've seen it. Iowa State's got to travel a little ways. It's an early kickoff, which, in my opinion, these early kickoffs, sometimes I believe that favors the away team because the home crowd's not quite into it. But look, man, this can be sneaky. This is a good Cincinnati team. I'm high on this team. They played Nebraska very, very tough. But I got to tell you, after watching Iowa State week 1 in Dublin, I think that I'm going to say this is 1B with 1A being Texas Tech. I think they're the 1B team in the Big 12. I really, really like this team. Outside of Rocco Becht, I don't know that there's, any big superstars, but just a very, very solid Iowa State team. Matt Campbell has got his guys playing really, really hard, but they've got a tough one. They've got a tough one Saturday. Scott Satterfield in Cincinnati is an extremely good game. This is going to be a tough one, and blows my mind. Iowa State, seeking their first 6-0 start in quite some time. So big one for them Saturday for sure.
Yeah, you got to think, if you're Matt Campbell, you're telling your guys, hey, this is just another game that we're preparing for. There's going to be a lot of storylines in the media about 6-0, 6-0. But you're also going to have storylines about Rocco Becht and his ability to play on the road. Rocco Becht has had his ups and downs, but he's been able to lead this team to a very hot start in 2025. When you look at the Iowa State offense, it's been efficient, especially outside the numbers, right? You look at tight end Ben Bramer, you look at Gabe Burkle, you look at the wide receivers and Xavier Townsend, Chase Sewell. Those guys have really bursted onto the field this year for Rocco Becht and has helped him a lot. And then you look at the Cincinnati defense. They are strong up the middle. Dante Corleo, Jake Gould, Anthony, excuse me, let me start over. Anthony Peak. Their weakness is the secondary, though. They're ranked 117th at the corner position, not the greatest. So this is a favorable matchup for Iowa State offensively, in my opinion. If you're Rocco Becht, Brad, do you attack that shaky Cincinnati secondary, or do you stick with the safer tight end matchups in the middle of the field? Maybe both. I don't know.
Yeah, one thing that Nate that impressed me about Rocco Becht is I think he does a good job of just being efficient and spreading the ball. And he knows where to go. I won't say that he has just a flat out wide receiver one. They're just very, very balanced. But I'm going to tell you, Nate, you brought up a good point. I think he's going to really, really focus on his tight ends. He's got 2 tight ends that combined have 28 catches on the year and 4 touchdowns. So those guys are always, a safe outlet. They're a safe check down. I think Bramer and Burkle are going to be key on Saturday when trying to attack this Cincinnati Bearcat defense. And Nate, just just another point. I want to see the real Iowa State offense show up. We've seen them be explosive at times. I mean, they put up 39 last week against Arizona, but we saw them struggle against Iowa. Iowa has a really good defense, but also struggle against Arkansas State. They only put up 24. So Cyclone offense, what's for real? What's for real? I think that's a fair question, and I'm interested. If this is an offense that struggles on Saturday, Cincinnati has got a real chance to get this win.
No doubt about it. And you look at the other side of the ball for Cincinnati Bearcats with quarterback Brendan Sorsby. I mean, he started off really, really cold against Nebraska, made some costly mistakes early on in the season. but he has really turned it around later on in this season. He is scorching defenses and tearing them apart, particularly in zone coverage, which is what I want to talk about next. Iowa State's defense, they play almost all zone. They only play man coverage about 12 to 14% of the time. And Sorsby thrives versus zone defense. Nebraska shut them down with man coverage. Iowa State presents a completely different look for the Bearcats. I'm curious to get your thoughts, Brad. Do you think Iowa State's zone defense actually plays into Sorsby's strengths, or do you think the Cyclones' disciplined secondary can still frustrate him in the way Nebraska did?
This is a really good question. I think it's important for Iowa State to play that zone. And the reason I say that is it's not necessarily defending him against the pass, Nate. He's the leading rusher for this team. And we know that when you have a quarterback that has the ability to break out of the pocket and scramble, if you're a team that plays man to man and those defensive backs return, that can make for long QB runs. It can make for, 40, 50-yard gains. When you play zone, that back seven, that secondary's eyes are always in the backfield for the most part on the quarterback, and that can limit rushing opportunities. So I think it's very, very important that Iowa State does not break tendency, that they stay in those zone tendencies. I think we could see some linebacker spies just with his running ability, but I think you're going to see Iowa State definitely maximize that game plan. They may give up some rushing yards, but you don't want Sorsby, getting off those 15-plus yard rushes.
Yeah, Brad, you bring up a great point, and that's Sorsby's ability to run the ball. And you talk about man coverage in general. When I look at this Iowa State defense, yes, they've got some good playmakers, but to me, when you're looking at playing man, you're going to have to put someone as a quarterback spy. I don't see anyone on this defense up front when I take a look that can cover Sorsby in a zone, in a spy zone coverage. I don't see it. So I agree with you. I think they are going to have to play zone. It's going to be a give and take. They're going to have to limit him in the big plays, and they're going to have to say, hey, you're going to have those 80-plus yard drives against us to beat us, in hopes that one of our guys can come away with some mixed zone coverage and make a play. It's going to be very intriguing to watch, because I think Sorsby, honestly, is the better quarterback in this matchup. I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for that, but listen, Sorsby is no joke. This guy can tear it up through the air, on the ground. This dude has made major progression, in my opinion, and if that offensive line can hold up and keep him clean in the pocket, it's going to be a long day for this Iowa State defense. Let's jump over to the style of play and similarities. Both teams run a 3-3-5 defense, bottom 15 in pressure rate, and the quarterbacks should have a clean pocket. Offenses want balance, right? You got Iowa State with the running attack plus tight ends. You got Cincinnati with wide receivers Cyrus Allen and Caleb Goode. This is a very, very even playing style, in my opinion. It's going to be interesting to see who wins up front. Which supporting cast do you trust more, Brad, to make a difference in this one? Iowa State's big tight ends or Cincinnati's speedy receivers?
It's a great question. I love Cincinnati's set of weapons. You didn't mention Walker and Pryor, they're two running backs, but I like those two. But Nate, the guy that stands out to me is Cyrus Allen. This was a guy that transferred to Texas A&M in the 2024 season, and people were expecting a lot of big things out of him, and it didn't quite pan out for him in College Station, but he gets a fresh start. I believe it's his third school, but 273 yards on the year. Nate, 5 touchdowns already. He's got half of Brendan Sorsby's 10 touchdowns, so that really stands out to me, but he is definitely a go-to guy, a good route runner. He's got some speed. I like this group of Cincinnati receivers / tight ends, and you said it well. I like them a little bit better than I do Iowa State.
Yeah, Brad, when it boils down to it, a true coin flip game at its finest. I have to look at the spread real quick. Give me a second. So right now the spread is favored Cincinnati 1.5 points at -110. This is a true coin flip game, Brad. Obviously, Cincy has the home field advantage and a hot quarterback. Iowa State has the more proven defense and an unbeaten streak on the line. What are your thoughts on this game in Cincinnati on Saturday, and who comes out on top in this Big 12 matchup?
I mentioned this earlier, Nate. Really, really like Scott Satterfield. Really, really like what he's doing there at Cincinnati. And I really, really want to pick them. Ultimately, to me, this comes down to I just think Iowa State is simply the better team. I think Cincinnati is going to be very, very competitive in this game. I think Brendan Sorsby at some point is going to make a play with his legs. I think Cyrus Allen has a big play. But I ultimately think in the second half, that Iowa State defense that we saw was very, very impressive against Kansas State. They were very, very impressive against Iowa. I thought they had a good showing against Arizona last week. I think they show up, they make a big play, and I think it's this Iowa State defense and Rocco Becht ultimately that get the win. I think it's a very, very close game. I think it's less than a touchdown. But give me the Cyclones.
Yeah, Brad, if there's one thing that I've noticed this college football season is it's almost guaranteed that every single one of these teams in college football will experience a loss at some point this season. And that day for Iowa State comes Saturday. Give me the Cincinnati Bearcats in a close one. I got them winning by a field goal, 27-24. Brad, this is going to be one of my favorite matchups of the week. I know that there's not spectacular matchups in terms of top 25 that we had last week, but this is a game to watch. If you want to watch two quarterbacks go at it, pass for pass, yard for yard, these are two guys to watch. And my reasoning for picking Cincinnati is simply because of the Iowa State offensive line. I've seen all year they have struggled. They haven't looked terrible, but Rocco Becht has been hit a lot, and he's been put in pressure situations. He's a great quarterback. I think he's going to make some plays on the run. But in the end, give me the Bearcats to win 27-24 in a close one. Cincy fans, Iowa State fans, drop your score predictions down below. Hit that subscribe button. Help us get to 1,000 subs, and we'll see you next week. It's time to break the huddle.